Full disclosure, I did not pay for this game, nor is it a public demo that I downloaded off itch. Instead, it was given to me by the developer, and despite being quite a landmark for the channel, it is an early build, and everything I talk about is subject to change. So with that in mind, this isn't really a review, it's more like a spotlight. Sylvia is a charming visual novel set in France that I had a lot of fun with, which if you know me, is the antithesis of my being. I'm usually not that much of a fan of visual novels, and because I live in Germany, I'm contractually bound to dislike everything French, lest I be kicked out by the Combine and sent back to the third world nation I came from. So it is even more surprising that after playing this game, I clamour for more. You play as the most relatable character, a French house husband in an ever-distant relationship as your fiancé carries on the long-lasted French tradition of being drafted into the military and sent to Algeria. You, all alone in your house, the best thing you could do in that situation, and hire a maid from Paris.
Hi, my name is Luis and today I'm in Paris to try the top 5.
You do the second best thing you could do in this situation and get an IT degree and apply for one of the most valued jobs in the computer world, figuring out a way to get ChatGPT to say naughty words. You get the job and go to one of the nicest digital sweatshops around and get to know your co-workers on a very intimate level. Now, when I say the story is relatable, you may think that's a joke, but if you know my life right now, it actually has a lot of elements that align.
Well, we'll elaborate on that.
No, I won't.
Talking about getting to know your co-workers on a very intimate level, I find the art in the game to be done quite tastefully. The main characters, the one you see 80% of the time, are done very well, and have an impressive amount of variation to constantly keep it fresh throughout the whole experience. Conversely, the backgrounds compose some of the more generic looking environments, but also include quite impressive vistas. Overall, they never detract from the experience, but they always sell the place they're meant to be. I may say downer about the art, but I will say the art is above average overall. However, some of the background characters currently look quite odd. Not bad per se, but I feel like they are done in a different art style and usually more detailed in the wrong ways, looking from a normal person to Columbo the horror game.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to your ass?
Talking about Dr. Columbo, the voice acting is a welcome and to be honest a fantastic addition to this game. And trust when I say it would be a far lesser game without it. Certain story beats are dramatically improved by hearing the characters react to what's going on and imparting strong emotions. All three main voice acted characters at first feel somewhat daunting for being a story set in France containing French people. It is a bit weird when one of the characters brings up where they're from and yet sounds like they come from Hogwarts.
Especially if the recipe involves dairy. Every respectable woman from Normandy knows their way around milk and cheese.
But as the game goes on and more scenarios happen, they become completely believable. And to note is the impressive range the voice actors could possess. You have characters change emotions from line to line and it feels completely natural. And I cannot say how much it adds to the experience. Adding to the experience is the music, which is a caliber ahead of what I expect. This music here, for example, it plays at one of my favourite points, which I will not spoil. I don't know what more to say. It uses Class A music at Class A timing. You may not think it matters that much, but with titles like these it is paramount that there isn't anything annoying that can make it long playthroughs mind-numbing. And this game, while having some less memorable tracks, sure, has some bangers when it needs to. The most surprising banger has to be the story though. Unfortunately, it's the thing I want to talk most about and least about at the same time. Talking too much will ruin it, however I'm going to try my best. Sylvia is a slow burn at the start and feverishly fun at the end, and after experiencing it, I can't really blame the start, but I can give it light praise for introducing the characters and taking the time to like them, and simplifies them and looking forward to their next line. This at first may seem like a seemingly generic railroaded story, with each step planned out for you, leaving you with no choice, like a Bethesda Fallout game. However, as you progress, the story balloons into this wonderful landscape of choice, like an Obsidian Fallout game, and having completely different chapters planned out based on your choices, which one I cannot wait for. This isn't to say this is all completely groundbreaking, it's not Metal Gear Solid 1 redefining narrative in video games, but what I will say is that story is often reduced or lackluster in these types of games to emphasize other, maybe more flashy elements, if you get my drift. But with Man of Story's creation here, that is not a problem, and it is something that you can look forward to. Now, if this sounds like a visual novel that would take your fancy, then all I can say is check it out. All the links below. Sign up to the Patreon if you want to experience the first chapter. The rest of what I'm going to talk about is just technical and can and probably will be improved on. The first and probably most problematic for me is the UI. I know this is more than likely hardwired into the engine, but the UI isn't the most intuitive, especially when it comes to saves and loads. They just look so similar both in their symbols and their respective menus, and this has caused me to load in past saves or save over places I wanted to load. After a short while and a couple of long sections replayed, I quickly learned to look out for it, but it is and was very frustrating in the beginning. One thing that I didn't catch on was that the page up and down also applies for saves too, leading me to, for the majority of the game, think that I only had 6 saves, which I learned not to be the case and turned out to be completely the opposite, with a large amount of saves being awarded. Interestingly, however, this was in hindsight a really fun way of making each choice feel like it was set in stone. And if time and resources could be spared, having a hardcore mode like this, where you either have one or maybe a couple of saves, could be a really interesting way of playing the game. Despite that, I have one big problem. One that won't affect anyone else, and to be honest, I don't think I should say this, but I don't know how to say this, but I want to be in the game. Not like physically, just as a voice cameo. I want to, no, I have a need to become Dr. Columbo's psychic / nurse. And I don't feel like this makes a difference. I just feel compelled to express my want to be in the game. I want to voice a character in this so bad. To the point where it's becoming an unhealthy obsession. But with all those valid complaints aside, I do feel like this is one of the brightest spots in my visual novel journey. A lot of the games I play in this genre have been lackluster to sort of just meh or unmemorable, and this one is one that I just couldn't put down. The developers are really nice, by the way. I really would like if you could support them in any way, even if that's just checking out their other links and their other mediums. They have been nothing but kind to me, and thank you all for watching. This one was a bit weird because this wasn't something I looked and found. Was like, oh, this is something that I asked someone if I could play, and they just said, yeah, sure, check it out. And I gotta be very grateful for that. You know, thank God I don't have to spend the $4 like I did last time and go absolutely completely broke. So this has been JJ with the Hentai Times. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Shield. The development will be completed soon.
Now that the attacks by the new types failed, the only thing we can do is keep killing monsters.
We've lost 20% of the total population in the past.
Project Normality.
Soon the human race will be facing extinction.
20%? That doesn't sound too bad.
Leave it to us. We're gonna destroy the teleportation.